Hello and welcome to day 3 of our 30-day challenge. Today, I was wanting to introduce to you the idea of separating your money from yourself. So when you get paid, how you manage that, and what protection do you have for the money from yourself? Because let's face it, if we know how much we've got, then it's often gone if you haven't allocated it to where it needs to go. And every dollar, if you can, needs to have a job. And that is, based on where you allocate it to, basically. So first thing, you get your income. I like all my income. Having said that, there is no one way, again, that works for everyone. When I work with clients, we always look at what your structure is now, how it's working for you. Is it working? If it's not working, everything else that goes in with it. These are the ones that I have and that I have found work really well, and they support my need for separating the money away from me, and that I have an allocation to spend, and we work with that. Anyway, I like all my money that comes into the house in one account as income. So our PAYG income, our self-employed income, anything we sell, I ask for it to go into that account. Any payments that I get from people, for like if we've gone out and people owed me for dinner, or whatever, I get them to put it in that account, and then I can allocate it to where it needs to go. From that account, as I said, it's on automatic payments. Automatic disbursements. We already know what our standard money is going into that account. So then it automatically disperses to other accounts. So the next account that we set up is a bills account, and bills, everything goes out of there, and you automate that sucker so that you don't have to touch it. You know what's happening, you know what's covered, and it just takes the stress out of everything. So the bills account, that is a really great way too, then to know how much your household lives on, how much you have to have in your bank, so that you know what your expenses are. And if it's rising or lowering or whatever, it just is a really good way to manage it. From there, of course, you've got to have your own money. So you're spending. So I like to call it, and in the spending plan world, we call it a triple FI account. And that is your food, everybody's got to buy groceries, your fuel, so your car allocation, fund money, so that can be, you know full well that you're going to go out to the shops and you're going to have coffee with the girls, or whatever it might be. And incidentals. So fun and incidentals are sort of the same, but they're slightly different in the way you manage it, but it doesn't matter. It's all in that account, and that's your allocation for spending for the pay period that you have. What's next? Oh, of course, our peace of mind account. Now, peace of mind is like some people call it emergency accounts, and I can't do it. If I save up $2,000 in an emergency account, next thing you know, I've got a bill that comes in for $2,000. I'm calling it in, and it just doesn't work for me. So I prefer a peace of mind account. And that just tells me that if the car's gone in for a service, and instead of it being, the standard $400 or $500, whatever it might be that's allocated, that is your average for your service in your car, but you need new tyres, or the brakes have gone or whatever it might be and you need it, that's okay. I've got the funds in my Peace of Mind account that will cover that, okay? And your fridge, fridge breaks down. You can't go without a fridge. So Peace of Mind account covers those unexpected expenses that, if you've got an allocation there, it's awesome because I've got peace of mind that I can pay for that and then I can just keep rebuilding that account. Then we've got rubbery expenses. Now they're sort of things like, I know somebody's getting married next year and I know we're going to need new outfits. You spend more on the wedding gift, things like that. Maybe you need to travel for it, accommodation, transport, all those sorts of things. So that's a rubbery expense. It's sort of something that you know it's coming, but you can't quite. It's not a bill. It's not a reoccurring bill. You don't know what the expense is necessarily going to be until it gets there. So it's a rubbery expense. Things like that, engagements, and also too, rubbery expenses are things like if you've got family interstate, you know that eventually you're possibly going to need to travel interstate for something. If you've got elderly family and you need to go and there's something happens, you're going to need to know that you've got money available, that you can just pay for it. And the idea of these structures is that if you've got money allocated somewhere, if you've got spare money somewhere, then you'll pull it together anyway. But what the idea is that it saves you from reaching for that credit card if you're trying to pay that card off. By all means, if you need to, it's there. That's what you're going to do. But if we don't need to put more money on the credit card when we're trying to pay it off, because we've actually got emergency money available, then that is brilliant. And you might be saying, well, why would I be having savings if I've got money on my credit card? Because psychologically, you're much more empowered if you can say, that's okay, I've got money for that. That's all right. I can go and visit without putting us in any more debt because I've got the money aside for that. The debt's there anyway, but if you don't have to build on that debt, then brilliant. You've got a strategy in place. You're paying that debt off anyway. Let that cycle just keep going. But this way, you're not adding to that debt, okay? Then there's a buffer account. Now, everybody talks about 3 to 6 months worth of income. This is like long-term, you've got money aside because if you get retrenched and you need to find another job, you've got money aside so that you can say, it's okay, I can do that. It's a medical thing. You might, not be able to work for a few months. It's okay. I know our priority bills can be paid because I've got a buffer account. And it's probably one of the last accounts I set up because you can always, if you need to, pull the money from other places that you've got emergency peace of mind money but basically they're the first 6 accounts I set up. And then of course, there's a savings account and I want to go to Europe next year or 2 years time, or I want to go skiing, or I want to, have an extra holiday that's not your annual holiday. It's not the trip down to the beach at Christmas that you spend 2 weeks there and you know what that expense is, and that's fine. That's in your bills account because it's an annual expense. But if it's something like a major trip or a new car or whatever, another account altogether. I like separate accounts. And as I said, I like separating those accounts from me so that everything goes into them automatically. I know what's happening, I know it's in place, but it's in a separate, generally, it's in a separate bank account as well, so that a separate bank institution, so that I don't look at it every day. I don't know what money is in there because I don't need to. I just know that if I need it, that I've been putting money in that account for the last 2 years, and so I'll be fine. Anyway, that's just one way of looking at it all. One way, as I said, no one way works, and what we do is actually work out what will work for you. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're watching this somewhere else, you will find the 30-day challenge on YouTube, Trisha Northeast. That's it. And yeah, have a great day. Blessings to all.